Hello and welcome to SJ Garage. That's right, I said it. SJ Garage. Trademark pending. It'll catch on, I promise. So I bet you've probably been wondering, where has this dude been? What in the world has taken him so long to make a video? Where's the bobber build? Hopefully you can get those answers to those questions in this video, so please stick with me. Alright, to start off, we had a bit of a catastrophe here at the garage. So I will try not to bore you with the details, but I'll tell you a little story. So New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we did a sleepover in the living room. And at about 2 in the morning, all of a sudden we hear this bang, 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 bang outside the house. Woke us up from a dead sleep. I'm freaking out because I'm pretty much sure there's somebody trying to break into the house. So I'm getting ready. The wife's making sure the kids are okay. I'm checking outside. We're checking outside. And all of a sudden we realize the garage is on fire. And so we're freaking out. We run outside. We grab our hose. We start hosing it down. She runs in, takes care of the kids. I go get the fire extinguisher. And I start putting it out with the hose and the fire extinguisher. At that point, the person that we thought was breaking in had actually tried to wake us up and had called the fire department. So the fire department shows up. They're all lined up on the road. And they come over here. They see that the sides of the garage is put out. But then they realize that the attic, the rafters, were still on fire. And so they proceed to tear the ceiling out, blowing in insulation up there, put the fire out, and take care of it. Well, problem is that made a horrendous mess in the garage. Now, to the fire department's credit, they did a really great job. They covered a lot of the stuff in here with plastic as they were trying to hose stuff down. They saved a lot of damage, a lot of water damage, so I really appreciate you guys if you ever do watch this video. But yeah, so that started a long process of months and months of getting the insurance involved, getting the builders involved, trying to source really hard to source materials. The black insulation you see is not a readily available type of insulation, so that was difficult. Getting the ceiling insulated again, that was difficult to find the right insulation for that. It just took a long time. And on top of that, they had to come in and clean every single component in the garage. Every tool, every item that was in here had to be cleaned for smoke. And once they cleaned it, they packed it tightly in a nice little box, and then they put it in a storage unit in my driveway. And so that really hindered my ability to work on anything. And I mean anything. From repairing a little thing inside the house to working on the car in the driveway, it was literally impossible for months on end, to the point where they had it somewhat cleaned in here and I could finally move some of the tools in. So that process has really kept me away from actually working on anything, much less a hobbyist type thing like a motorcycle. So I've gotten past that, as you can see behind me. I've slowly worked at loading stuff back into the garage as the garage has been finished now, and then reorganizing. Speaking of reorganizing, anyone who's been watching these videos for a while might notice that behind me looks a lot different than it has in the past. I've taken this fire as an opportunity to kind of rethink how I use this space. I decided that what I want to do is I want to condense and then rethink the utilization of those particular tools so that I can have that space over there for the build, and this space over here is for the materials and the tools and that kind of thing. And the rack behind me I built actually on New Year's holiday, I would say, a couple days before New Year's, and then the fire. And so anyways, I had just gotten this finished. And this was a necessary thing because I only had racks on the back wall, and that was just not enough space. I wanted to be able to have some of the parts for the builds here in the garage for quick access. Up to this point, it was either maybe 1 or 2 tubs on the floor, and that was about it. Now I'm able to get multiple tubs, 1 tub for each build, or 2, depending on what type of build it is. And they're all right here, and I can get to them easily. And so now I've got my paint booth right here, and I've got my sandblaster right next to it, and this takes up almost 2 feet less of space, and it's within the space of this wall section right here. So my mind went to, oh, wouldn't it be great if I use this rack as the line, and I just kind of drew a line to the garage, and this space is utilized for tools. So the idea is that if it's sitting on the floor, it needs to have wheels, and then I can roll it out of the way. So that's why it may seem a little different, but I'm really excited to use this in a more of a production type building setting. We'll see how it works out, but so far I've been pretty happy with it. So in keeping with the theme of trying to rethink how I use this space, a lot of times when I'm doing builds, I end up putting up some sawhorses and a sheet of OSB and then slapping a bunch of parts on there and trying to be somewhat organized. And it always ends up sagging or being in my way, and then I gotta move it, and that's a huge pain. So I finally broke down and decided I'm gonna make a purpose-built high top work surface that will stay in the garage, and I will just be able to use it for staging parts for a build or doing finite work that I don't want to do on my grimy workbench over here. And I decided to make it out of as much reclaimed stuff as I could. So the top is made out of a chop block tabletop that was given to me because it was cracked in half almost. There was a giant crack through the middle of it, and it was kind of almost like this. It almost broken in half. I glued that together, got it all flat. It seemed really good, so I refinished it. And then the structure underneath is actually reclaimed truss 2x4s that I literally climbed up in the dumpster when I got home from work one day with a Sawzall and hacked apart all the trusses that they had pulled out of the ceiling to fix the garage. And I saved those things thinking, I'm sure I could find a project for these at some point. I'm not going to let them just throw away perfectly good 2x4s. And so I started working on this, and I thought, that's it. I'm going to make a table for the garage made from the garage. I think it's pretty poetic, and it's kind of cool, too, to think like, okay, yeah, there was some damage, and yeah, there were some bad things that happened, but you know what? I made something great out of it. And I've been really excited with it. I've been using it a lot, staging stuff up and doing a couple little things here and there. This is going to be my think space. This is going to be the area where I try to figure out how I'm going to fix a problem, or come up with solutions on paper, maybe sketch up a piece of paper on here. But yeah, so this is awesome. I really like it a lot. I put some roll around wheels that pop down so I can move it around if I want, as well as some leveling feet for uneven floor. So far, I've been really happy with it. Hopefully it continues to be awesome. I'm going to try to keep it as nice looking as I can. Potentially even putting maybe down some like leather or something cool to kind of keep it safe and also keep things from sliding around, because this is finished really smoothly. So eventually I have some ideas of upgrades. I'm thinking maybe like a drop down cable for power strips around it, a bottom shelf, maybe a light that goes over top of it, that kind of thing. But that'll be on a later date. All right, how about some updates on the actual bike builds, which I know that's why you guys are even watching this channel to begin with. So all this update garage stuff's probably like, you know, Snorefest, am I right? Anyways, so let's start off with the Cafe Racer. The first upgrade that I've done recently was I bought new tires for the front and back. They really need to replace the tires that were on there, or OEM, and they were getting some flat spot in the back from just a lot of highway riding. And these are a lot stiffer, and they ride a lot nicer. I've been really happy with them. I also hand white lettered them because they didn't come that way, and I really wanted to still keep that white lettered look of the bike. And we'll see how it holds up. So I also finally rewrapped the exhaust. I got rid of that whole patchy burnt crap that was on there, and I put the same wrap that I put on the bobber. It's like a titanium type wrap. It should hold really nicely because the color itself is built into it, whereas the other style was a white, and then as it heated up it turned that brownish spotty color. This should not do that. I've been riding it for a while now. I've probably got, I don't know, 100 miles on it maybe, and it still seems to be fine. So I've been really happy with it. It goes on really nice, and I wrapped it differently this go around, so hopefully it stays on there better and longer than the previous style. I've learned some lessons, especially doing that bobber build. That was very challenging. There was a lot of bends and curves on that one, and I learned a lot doing that I applied to this one. So hopefully this holds out a lot better. So I put new grips on the bike, and the other ones were kind of sticky, and I think they were just kind of getting worn out from being in the rain and the sun. These seem a lot better. I actually like the pattern more, so I've been a lot happier with these, as well as I took the time to clean up my throttle system so it's a lot snappier, it doesn't stick as much, and so far been really happy with it. I got brand new mirrors on this thing. The old mirrors are slightly different. They went kind of out and up, and these I decided to point them down and up and around, and they look cool, but they don't necessarily function very well. I find myself kind of having to do the whole lift your arm and look under your wrist type scenario. Not the greatest. So I may end up switching them, or possibly even getting another set of the old styles. We'll see how it goes, but for now I'm dealing with it. So I finally did it. I finally put a front fender on this thing. And I know half you guys on the internet will be all like, I told you so, sucker, you need one of those on there, and whatever. I get pretty darn tired of having rooster tails in my face when the road's wet. And if it's not in my face, I'm had my head bent over to one side and it just ends up on my shoulder. And it just gets so annoying that I finally decided to do something about it. And if you guys recall on this video that I made of the overall build of the bike, these front forks are actually shaved down. There are no mounts for a fender. So that meant that I had to design and develop a clamp that clamps on the fork that then has mounting holes for a fender. And so I took a bunch of time designing and redesigning and 3D printing, and finally got it to where I felt like it was working good. And then I got some aluminum, did some CNC work, and made these clamps from aluminum, and they work really well. The fender is off an 83 or 82 Nighthawk. It is steel, and it holds really well. It fits really good, and it's nice and sleek versus the original Goldwing fender. So far I've been really happy with that improvement, and it doesn't really affect the aesthetics a whole lot, so I've been pretty happy with it. Alright, update on the bobber build. So the bobber, I'm going to break into two categories. Category number one is going to be the bike build itself. Category number two is going to be about the throttle assembly. So the bike build was kind of stalled out on the development of the throttle assembly. The throttle assembly, I have one working metal prototype from a CNC shop that took a really long time to get because they did me a bunch of favors and kind of worked on it on the side, and it just took forever. But finally I got it from them. I was able to save up enough money to buy the components, assemble it, get it to where it works and looks awesome and does exactly what I was hoping it would do. From there, now the idea is I'm going to take the bike build and continue the bike build to finish. In conjunction with that, my plan is to develop the throttle assembly further to the point where it's a lot more production friendly, so that there's a lot less machining, it's not from solid billet, and the cost can be brought down. And then the other thing is trying to come up with a way that I could potentially do some like pre-orders once I get to that point, so that I can order 20, 30, 40 of them all at once, and then the cost can be even lower yet. Because my goal is for the average person that can afford the IDFs could then just go out and buy my throttle assembly, and then boom, you got yourself a functioning carb and throttle assembly with no fabrication needed. So hopefully that can happen at the same time the build is happening. I just don't want the throttle assembly stuff to hold the build up anymore. So saying that, the bobber is going to be put to the back burner a little bit because I have a new project that came up that I'm pretty darn excited about that I'll show you. That's going to take precedent. And then I got something in the works too that I want to talk about that might trump all of that. So for now, that's where the bobber is. Please don't lose faith in it. I haven't lost faith in it. I'm really excited about it. I cannot wait to drive that thing on the road. and it makes me sad to see it just sit there and nothing being done. So I promise you I will get to it eventually, so please stay tuned to the channel, and at some point I will start working on that. So I had a project practically dropped in my lap that I'm very excited about. Story is that I had an old coworker who had a motorcycle that wasn't running very good, and he didn't really want to work on it, and so he ended up parking it in his garage. He then bought another bike, so that first bike was just taking up space in his garage. And I kept pestering him, dude, you gotta sell it to me. You gotta sell it to me. What do you want for it? He never wanted to sell it. So later on, he calls me up and says, hey, I need some help cutting some trees down. And I said, all right, dude, I'll help you out, you know. So I went to his house and we cut some trees down over a couple days, and he says to me afterwards, hey, you know what I could do is I could pay you with a motorcycle. And I said, what? Pay me with a motorcycle? Are you serious? And he's like, yeah, I'm serious. I'm like, whoa, man, that's awesome. So I am now the proud owner of a 1991 Yamaha VMAX. A VMAX! I've always wanted one of these things. They are so sick. And the problem is it just does not run right. So I've been slowly working on trying to fix it up a little bit, get it to run good. I did buy a seat for it because it was a low cut seat, an aftermarket seat, and I can't fit on that thing because I'm 6'1", and I felt like my knees were in my chest. So I fixed that, and then the handlebars had a riser on it. I got rid of that. I hope to have some new shocks for it so that they're actually ride height is correct. I think there's almost an inch of ride travel that was removed with different shocks on there. So there's some things I'm hoping to update and replace, as well as a lot of polishing and refinishing and trying to bring the luster back into it again. I have some interesting ideas on, like some aftermarket things I might be able to do to it to make it kind of cool. But for now, the goal is to get it as stock as I can and running perfect. From there, I'll probably shelve it until I have more time, maybe after the bobber build, and I'll see where it goes from there. But as of right now, I'm really excited about it. It's just not a focal point in my projects right now. All right, last update, and this one could be pretty big. I had a gentleman contact me that he'd been watching my YouTube channel for a long time now, and he looked up my Instagram and DM'd me, and was curious, about my interest in potentially doing a commission build. A commission cafe racer build identical to the one that I have. Which, if this truly works out, if he's actually serious and this conversation goes further than inquiries, could be pretty awesome, because I know those parts like the back of my hand and what I did and how I did it, and the parts list could be ordered really quick because I pretty much know everything I bought from where I bought it from, and I could just take off with it. It would trump all the other projects. That would be the first thing I work on, and it would be the only thing I worked on until it was done. And then the other cool part about this is assuming it happens, that is the possibility of documenting all of these things that I've done to this cafe racer. The walk around was nice, and I know a lot of people have enjoyed that walk around, but I think you guys out there that are potentially considering doing a build on your own might enjoy in-depth walkthrough of making all these components, or maybe a closer look at them not on the bike, because that's something I might do too, is I might take a part off of there and try to replicate it. Everything on there is one off, so the idea of taking it off and trying to replicate it in some way and showing you guys, like, hey, look at this is what I made. I think everyone would really enjoy that. So we'll see. I'm excited / nervous about the idea. I'm kind of worried about getting, this not working out, and so there's a lot of questions that need to be asked. And if it becomes a thing, I will definitely be making YouTube videos on it and posting it. I can't guarantee it'll be regular because these videos take forever to make. But hopefully you're kind of excited about that idea. I'm excited about that idea. He seems excited about that idea. It's just a matter of figuring out if this is a for real thing or not. So stay posted to the channel, and hopefully we can figure this out and do something, because it could be pretty cool to do an actual commissioned bike. It's not something I've ever done, ever thought about doing, so it's kind of exciting. That's all the updates I have for you. I know this wasn't like super exciting video. There wasn't sparks flying or something catching on fire, but it's an informative video. It's so that you guys know that I have not let these projects die. I am very much still interested in them, and I continue to get more projects and get more involved into things, and it just excites me. And now that the garage is back together, I'm able to actually start working on these things again. So as far as the commission thing, I really don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if it's a serious thing or not. So let me know what you guys think about it. I think it's pretty interesting. It's going to be a learning experience for me. And we'll see where it goes. But as of right now, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and you hit the notification bell, because I'm not going to be making videos on a regular basis, but I am going to be making videos, so that notification bell really helps you keep up with it not being on a regular basis posting. And that's about it. I appreciate you guys watching this far, and as always, you guys be careful out there.